And welcome to another Round the Rotary podcast, everyone. It's me, your host, J.P. Warren. Thanks for tuning in. And before we get kicked off, I got to say that Round the Rotary podcast is brought to you by Capital Petroleum Consultants. CPC specialize in project engineering and well site supervision in all disciplines of the oil and gas industry. Contact us through www.capitalpetroleumconsultants.com to see what CPC can do for you today. So everyone in the studio with us, we have, if you got to get that, you got to get that, buddy. All right, this is just a podcast. We have Jasen Gast, the president and CEO of Oilfield Service Professionals, or OSP, as we see on the street, right?
That's right.
And then he's also the tournament director, and actually we're recording this on Veterans Day.
That's correct.
And we actually came up that it was perfect timing for you to get in here, just because you are the tournament director of the Texas Billfish Classic. But before, which is a charity 501c3 nonprofit, and the description is a great format, big payouts, and contributions to charitable events. But what charitable events is that? Let's wait. And we're going to get in that later, but it is for veterans.
Correct.
I'm assuming that's why we're doing this today. Yeah,
that's why we're here.
That's exactly why we're here.
It's a good day, and
so we're going to talk a little bit about your background. We're talking about the oil field a little bit, but we can dive into that a little bit. But I'm kind of more concerned to kind of get to know you a little bit, and I want to talk about this the Texas Billfish Classic, because when we first met last week or the week before that, you brought it up, and I just think it's such an amazing event, and it's a great cause, and I think that this might be a good little plug for it too. I mean, get more people interested. Because I'll bet you that the oil field has a lot of fishermen out there.
There's no doubt about that.
Fishermen, fisherwomen out there. All right, so I think this is going to be good to talk about. Jasen, thanks for joining us today, buddy.
Glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely,
it's going to be fun.
Absolutely, and I see that you got the OSP shirt on too, but then you showed me your boots earlier from
Tejas boots.
Tejas boots. And I guess we're going to go check that out.
We need to.
I need a pair of boots, man. I grew up in Connecticut, and I don't know the boot game.
You're not officially a Texan until you get a pair of boots.
That's why that's why I'm waiting to go there.
I learned that lesson in 2006 in Midland when I went to the first meeting. I'll never forget this.
Were you wearing a pair of New Balance?
Whatever I was wearing wasn't acceptable in the Midland, Odessa.
Okay.
Metropolis, if you will.
So blazers, pocket squares, stuff that you see me rocking around here won't suffice over there.
I mean, it is now because you're a pretty cool guy. But if you still got milk on the chin like I had, and it was like your first oil field job, I land in Midland, and I get. I think I was actually going to see Faskin.
Okay.
And get in this office, and I cannot remember the guy's name for the life of me. But I was sitting there, and he's kind of staring me up and down, and I got a pointy pair of Italian shoes and some slacks.
Euro.
I'm way out of
slim fit Euro cut.
Oh yeah,
I get it.
So, and he looks at me and he just said, "Well, before we go on any further, I think it's imperative you run down the store here and get you a pair of boots." And I don't know if he was joking or if he was serious, but I left.
Did you?
I went down to the store. I got me a pair of, it was a cowboy starter kit. I had some jeans, some boots. I think I even had like a Wrangler.
Wranglers, the pearl snap, the boots.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and don't take the tag off in case you have to return if it's not cowboy enough.
Exactly. And I'm just glad I didn't look like. You remember when Marty McFly went Back to the Future and he took the cowboy clothes he thought that was
part 2.
Part
3. That was part 3.
I was afraid I was going to look like that.
Yeah.
Country western clothes that just have no business.
Very flashy, a lot of fringes, of fringes and pastels.
Went back in there and showed him my boots and had a great conversation. Actually, I think we actually did some work with him. So
there you go. So
you got to buy a pair of boots if you're going to work in Midland.
Got to get a pair of boots. And if you're a Texan, Jasen, why don't you give us a little background? But tell us. I mean, it seems like you and I have a lot of the same circles. Like we have a lot of the same friends, whether it's through the oil field or whether it's service side operators and all that stuff. And I think that's kind of good that we met. But for those that don't know you, including me that well, why don't you give us a little background about yourself? Kind of give us the Jasen story.
Yeah. Moved here pretty young from Georgia. Born in Atlanta, Georgia. Moved here. Late 80s, and 2 brothers, mom and dad. My dad's had a lot of family here in Texas.
Okay.
Moved over here, went to school at Humble High School up here on the northeast side. Played ball and played a lot of sports, and ended up getting a college scholarship to play basketball. Signed early with UT, and before I even went up there to put on a jersey, the coaching change happened that year.
I get it.
I ended up going to a smaller school, Incarnate Word, and played a season to transfer back to Division I, and pretty much played my whole career at Stephen F. Austin.
So would you play which?
Shooting guard, basketball.
Really? You still hoop it up?
Man, the only thing I'm shooting these days are little rubber basketballs with my son. So
you gotta like old school like injuries. Like I know when it's raining because my knee starts hurting.
Yeah, every day I wake up and it sounds like someone just poured some milk and some Rice Krispies.
But that's not
all popping and cracking.
That's just age, man.
That's just
not,
me.
That's not. It has nothing to do with your basketball career. That's the age that we're getting at right now.
Some of these could have been age and some self-reflection over the years, but overall, the joints in the body have been beaten up for years.
Start wearing down a little bit. So you played basketball.
Did
in college. So where were you studying in college?
International business was my primary major, so I actually got a degree in international business. And
what'd you want to do with that?
All I knew I wanted to do, I wanted to get out of town.
Well, no. I trust me. I get it.
And so it was business is the most broad thing you can do.
And it sounds really important too. When you're an undergrad, you're like, I got a business degree,
right?
Like you know what the hell you're talking about.
And then if you just take international and throw it in there, it's like, oh, well, I get to do business outside of where I'm living. So
yeah. But
actually, interestingly enough, so skip forward to my first upstream oil and gas job.
All right.
Sitting there with a guy named Chan Daigle, and he had worked for Halliburton for years, and he was an older gentleman. He was older in business at the time, so he was definitely a senior guy with a lot of experience.
Okay.
More operational focus. I was in sales, so he's kind of looking down at the end of his nose at me like, another sales guy, right?
With no boots.
Yeah, with no boots. Exactly.
Freshly
before the
freshly pot. Yeah.
So he's looking at me. And he said, international business. He's kind of looking at my resume during our little back and forth interview. And, he says, have you ever had any international assignments? Where have you worked? What's your experience? He said, well, yes, sir. I said, my first international assignment was in Houma, Louisiana. And, he just had like a little crack, a smile, like on this corner of his mouth. And he didn't want to give it away. But I think from there I had him. But,
you got him.
Some good BS will get you a long way in sales, but
that is true. So tell me. So international business. You want to get out of the state. You want to do business internationally. Naturally.
That was the idea. And
where'd you want to go? Did you have an idea or anything like that? Like Europe, South America.
I wanted to get out of Humble, Texas. So anything that would get me out of a school of 5,000 kids and where we grew up.
Yeah.
It was like, man, I just want to get out of here and do something different and make a life for myself. And, working for my dad in the summers in construction, you learn real quick that, if you have, a couple things rolling or a couple marbles rolling around upstairs, the big thing is like, man, I don't know if I really want to work with my hands pouring concrete in the summer, in Texas for the rest of my life. So I'm going to go get a degree and see what I can do and, kind of better my situation. And that was the big thing my dad always drove home was, you're going to get educated.
Yeah.
You're not going to work with your hands.
Was he educated?
No, I was the first person in my whole family to graduate college.
Really? Yeah. So are you the first generation Oilfield as well?
I am.
Really? Mm-hmm. Well, welcome.
Yeah, it's
I am
trial
too.
by fire.
I am too, buddy. But that's the best part. It doesn't matter if you're fourth generation, third, second, or first. I mean, you're all. This is. Everyone's got their own story. Everyone's got their own contributions to the table. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I think I love our industry. Oil and gas to me is a family. You meet people along the way, and going through times like we're going through now, iron sharpens iron, right? And this is a great example of what's going on right now. I mean, we live in a tough industry. Yeah. And when it's good, it's good. I think most of the time a lot of people take it for granted because it is so good at times. Mm-hmm. But when it's bad, all you want to do is find a place to hide.
There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of families right now that are suffering. Not just in our industry, but a lot of industries.
And the people that still have jobs are suffering. I mean, you look at people at the pay cuts and the furloughs and what they've had to do to adjust their lifestyles and their, the family dynamic, over the last 7 months. I mean, it's hard, for your heart not to hurt for people, obviously who don't have jobs anymore or are waiting. You go on LinkedIn and, the open to work deal, and it's like, golly, man.
You see that green circle right
absolutely.
there, and you're just like, shit, I just wish I could do something.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And, I feel bad for for everyone who runs a company, because there's nothing worse than having to let go of good people.
I can't imagine.
I mean, that is the worst thing. I mean, someone who's not taking their business, taking care of their business at work.
That's one thing.
It's like, hey, look, it's just not going to work out.
After a couple of talking to write a warrant, that warrants, but there's people, good quality people right now.
Absolutely.
Out of their control, nothing that they did. It just came down to a line item on you know what I mean?
That's it.
It's unfortunate. And it's unfortunate too. It's not just if you survive the first, reduction in G&A, or if you survive the first pay cut. I mean, it's still a very turbulent time right now.
It's tough.
It doesn't matter if you made it this far. You know what I mean? There's still people right now that we've discussed before we got on that are still being let go, unfortunately, out of their control. So, man, even the survivors out there, they're still fighting a battle.
Absolutely. So, kind of going back to where we started, I love the industry.
Well, how did you get in the industry? So after college, what did you do?
So I came back to Houston, played basketball.
Okay.
I was actually working out for the Rockets.
Okay.
At Rice, Autry Court was where we were working out with, and I was on the practice squads they would put together to look and evaluate different players.
Right.
I did that for a couple of months, and I actually met a girl in college that her mom was in the HR program at Bechtel, which Bechtel Corp is an EP&C company.
Okay.
They do real large construction company or contracts with civil and military engineering. They have an oil and gas sector that does a lot of big LNG terminals and facilities. And I reached out to her. She said, "Yeah, you should apply." They have
so it's just a random connection you made.
Correct. Yeah, just sent in my resume to Bechtel in Houston, and went on an interview with them, and met a couple of guys. They were like, "Hey, we know you're working out. We're doing this, but we would love to bring you in. You can work half days. We'll work around your schedule." And I did that for several months while I was still working out, and then finally I just felt like it was time to kind of hang up the shoes and went to work full time at Bechtel, and worked there for a couple years on some really cool projects.
What were you doing there?
Procurement. They had a group. It was I think it was called EP. It was EPQ. Or it was expediting, procurement, quality control, supplier quality, stuff like that. So it's the procurement side, like the business side of these big big contracts.
Yeah.
So basically, purchasing materials, raw materials, structural steel, everything from anchor bolts to cable tray to huge,
So your first role in the oil field was procurement.
Downstream.
Interesting.
Procurement.
Okay.
Downstream procurement on a LNG terminal in Equatorial Guinea.
Okay, there's your international business right there.
Nice. And that's kind of the tie-in, and I kind of worked it to my advantage. International this, and I had zero experience.
So how long? So I'm assuming you were in front of a computer at this whole time, just kind of.
Pretty much, yeah.
Look, I'm not knocking at all that. I just don't know enough about procurement role. I just feel that from my previous companies, that they were behind in front of a computer.
Well, and.
Which isn't bad.
Age myself, but this was, we were still digging through like massive printed out sheets of parts and drawings. This is before the computer was really like a staple in everyone's business.
Wow, so this was 1972 era.
It felt like it.
Okay, so this is so you graduated in 2002, but got a job in the oil field in 1972. Gotcha.
That's what it felt like. I mean, we were still using, printing a lot of paper.
Okay.
And so you go on your computer to do some certain things just so there was, the ability to track things and transfer data, especially to EG and then back here into different suppliers.
Yeah.
We were dealing with people in Italy and Spain and all this, some of the vessels that we were getting built, in other parts of the world. We were checking timelines and look at the schedule for delivery.
Did you like this? This just seems so far out of kind of what you were studying, kind of what your experience was.
Oh, I loved it. It was great.
What did you love about it? Was it just kind of like this
something different,
walking into this unknown style job? There's something you're not accustomed to, and there's something new.
It was. I think for me, it was the fact that I'm actually doing something with a team that doesn't wear a jersey and shoes, and it was just a way to kind of get my feet wet and start working on my career.
Okay.
And it was kind of nice to be in an office, air-conditioned office with, dress clothes on. You look outside, people working, you're like,
not pouring out.
That could have been me.
Not pouring concrete.
Yeah.
Not pouring concrete.
And so, yeah, it was good. I enjoyed that. And then, I stayed there almost 3 or 4 years before actually one of my...
Same role?
Same role,
Okay.
Kind of moved around. I think I was, bumped up maybe a level or two doing what we did. But, Bechtel's a big corporation.
Okay.
I mean, it's one of the largest privately held EPC companies in the world, I think. Don't quote me on that.
So then what happened in the path of Jasen?
So one of my suppliers actually asked me if I would consider going to work for them.
Doing what?
Selling paint for these massive projects.
Wow.
And so, you'd be surprised how much paint an LNG terminal needs.
No, I remember the paint room very well.
Yeah.
Noble Oars Boozegard. Yeah, there was a lot of chipping and painting.
So did that. Got in the paint business for about a year and ended up kind of overselling what our production could do. On these big projects with like Floor and KBR and Bechtel, and their whole thing was like, you already know that kind of the inside of that business. Right. We need someone that knows the inner workings so that we can increase our sales. So it was a good segue, since I already knew kind of the customer side of the sales side of the service business and selling paint. So
I was going to say, what was that like, I guess, for you going from, you're in college, you're in international business, then you're working procurement for 3 to 4 years. Mm-hmm. So now, next thing you know, the next opportunity is, hey, we want you to do paint sales.
Yeah. It was,
and so what made you? What enticed you to switch roles from purchasing to sales?
Doubling my salary over.
Oh, really? Okay, no. That's a reason. A lot of people do things early.
Literally, I was making, and I thought I was rich. I was making $36,000 a year, and
dude.
I thought I had hit I thought I hit the gold mine.
Do you remember how cheap life was back then, though? Like I remember when I graduated. So I got my master's in finance, came back here, I started at making $40,000, right? And I literally thought I was crushing it. I'm like, I'm gonna retire in 2 years, going out like everyone's drinks on me. Like it was like you didn't care back then.
No,
you know what I mean? And like, nah, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because the older you get, the more shit you accumulate. But it's like it doesn't matter where you're at now. It's always like, damn it, I'm poor.
Or
can't make it.
Or the
I'm
type
broke.
of whiskey you drink is just more expensive. So instead of doing like dollar wells, you're paying like $12 to $15, or $20 or $30 a glass. So maybe the older we get, the whiskey gets more expensive. Maybe that's cost of living goes up.
or maybe the places we go, they're like, these assholes, I'm gonna charge them triple for this.
There might be
that could be
some truth to that.
So you enjoyed sales?
I did. I got into sales, and I really, kind of found my niche, because I realized, kind of back to your point, I was like, I cannot sit in front of a computer.
Okay.
So I was like, I want to go interact with people. I want to go meet people, and that was the funny thing is some of the people I met then I'm still friends with.
Yeah.
And which has been great. I actually just talked to a friend of mine that retired from Bechtel here a year or two ago, living in Florida now, and I just talked to him after the storm that they just had. And so I've met a lot of really good people along the way, being in where I worked, but now in sales, because you do have so much interaction with folks, especially trying to build a relationship. And then once the relationship's built, you hope that there's years of that trust and that working relationship. Yeah. People do business with people they like.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're selling paint, you're crushing it.
And my boss told me, look, you got to stop. This is like 6-8 months into it. They're like, look, our production facility here in the States is in Conroe. Yeah. And they said, look, we're maxed out.
Can't even handle
it. We can't handle any more, orders from now.
So did you feel lucky, or did you feel like you had your system down? I guess.
I felt
great band, by the way.
Well, I say so down, yeah. Especially when you're feeling a little angry. No, I kind of, I never feel lucky, because I feel like hard work is, makes you luckier.
Right. Yeah.
The harder you work, the luckier you get.
Yeah.
And so
the fruit of your labors pay off the more you put into it.
And, I've just been one of those people, like, from my perspective, I may not always have, be the best or have the best, but, you can always outwork everyone else. That's one thing that you have control over, is you have the ability to outwork everyone else.
So it wasn't a question of luck. Wasn't a question of skill. You just put your nose to the ground and you worked.
That's it.
And you okay, all right.
And
I think there's more to that than but I mean, if that's, I'm just asking your perception. So.
That's my perception, just because I just never had anything given to me.
Yeah.
And so all I knew to do was just get up and go to work and just hustle. I mean, just do whatever it takes to survive. And that's one reason why I think there's just kind of this, everything kind of, led to the oil field, because that's really, really what the oil field's about. You just get up every day and go to work.
It is. You get up, go to work. You work hard and you have fun. Know what I mean?
That's exactly right.
That's what makes our industry so great. I mean, you work to it's there's so much more to it, but I mean, that's one of the benefits of it. You work hard and you play hard.
You work hard, you play hard. You have an opportunity to make a great living, and you get to mess with some big tools.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a great part.
What grown man doesn't want to play with some big tools?
So you've maxed out. So no more paint in all of.
No more paint.
No more paint in Montgomery, Harris County. Okay, you sold it all. Okay, they can't do it. So then where's your next role take you?
So I got a little frustrated because I was heavily commission based.
Okay.
And so it was like, well, so you're telling me I can't sell any more paint? For next 4 or 5 months. So I started learning how to do websites. And so during that time, and at the time I was doing a lot of fishing, so that's a whole nother.
Have you always been a
episode?
I'll tell you what. Let's get into fishing later. Let's get into fishing later once we discuss the Texas Billfish Classic.
Yep. So
go on.
So during this whole time I'm fishing, that's kind of running parallel with my professional career.
Okay.
And I still haven't found a way to make any money fishing, so I guess I got to keep working for a couple more years. But
just keep working hard.
That's it. So kind of started going down that road. So I started a website, and I started a little deal called the Gulf Coast Fishers of Men. And what it was,
Gulf Coast what?
Fishers of Men. And it was, basically it was just, I don't even know if we incorporated it. I mean, it was one of those deals where I was like, look, we're going to start taking handicapped kids fishing. And they have a black drum tournament down in Galveston every year, and I had a boat. And I was like, we're just going to go down there and start, volunteering and taking people fishing. So
okay, first off, wow, that's an amazing comment. Second, who's we? I mean, where did this idea come from?
It was just like me and 3 friends. So it was like 3 or 4 friends.
3 fishing buddies?
Just random friends.
And so you just decided, hey, look, let's get back a little bit.
Let's do something fun. So we had Caroline or Carlina, Angie, Charlie. I think it was like us 4, I think, kind of started. So they helped do, kind of the paperwork, minutes side, and, this incorporation. And me and Charlie were doing a lot of the planning and fishing and organizing. And then it just kind of grew. And then over a couple years, it was like, man, this is fun, and we're doing some really cool things, but it gets expensive.
Yeah.
And we were all young in our careers and working, and we didn't really have to, the ability to, fund these projects. So we just started, we kept doing everything we could, and then eventually it just reached a point where everybody kind of started getting a little older after 3 or 4 or 5 years. Their careers kind of moved. People started, dating or getting engaged and, maybe married. And so people kind of, they're like, hey, look, I just don't have time for that.
I can't make it this year.
Exactly. Yeah. So we kind of started having a little of that. And then, so we kind of shut that down because we just, from a time standpoint, we're all trying to build our careers.
Dude, what a cool, honorable thing to do. The fact that you're sitting there young. First off, most young people are, single, talking about going out and like partying.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like mingling.
Oh, I still did a lot of that.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying I think that's just such a commendable thing to just kind of think of. Like, let's take these children, with disabilities, and let's take them fishing for a little bit. We love fishing. Let's just and pass that on to them.
And that's kind of what planted that seed for what we're doing now with the Texas Billfish Classic, because it was
not yet. We're going to get in.
We're going to go there, but that's what planted the seed for me wanting to, kind of put guys and girls together that are like-minded, that, hey, look, we've been blessed in our walks of life. We love the outdoors, we love fishing, and hey, let's try and give back. Let's put people together and raise awareness for different, organizations that are doing these cool things like daily and year round.
But that's such a cool thing too, as well, because I mean, what is that saying? If you do what you love, it's not working, or whatever that saying is. But the fact that you're marrying these two, like this awesome experience for these people out there, that probably haven't had that experience before, and then your group which loves fishing. You're kind of like you're marrying that, creating some. I'm not gonna say synergies, but you're kind of
putting it all together.
You're putting it all together.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. I really do. I think I didn't know that.
And the way it happened was very organic. So it wasn't like it was pushing rope trying to get this thing done. I mean, it's funny. Sometimes you just strike a chord with someone you meet, and they're like, "Is it? What do you do?" Right. And they, "Oh man, how can I get involved?" And everyone else is different. If it's just like anything else. If you've had someone that's battled cancer, and you're doing something that's giving back to that community or families and people in need that are going through that kind of deal, they're going to have more of a attachment to that.
Right.
They're going to want to be involved in something like that. And then we just found things that were very similar to that, which was kids that have handicaps in life, and working with veterans that have been disabled or physically or mentally through their service. And over the years, my I don't even know what you would say, my drive to do that has become more and more over the last couple of years from just spending time with those guys, and just the simple fact that I think we live in one of the best nations and countries in the world, to where our freedoms are here because people have sacrificed their life for us.
Absolutely.
So it's very easy to sit down and devote your time and effort into something like that.
So how did this? I mean, I wasn't gonna wait on it, but I think let's address it now. Just kind of go
transition over. Yeah.
Well, it kind of goes with the flow. So you're doing this, at the beginning of your career. You're taking handicapped children out, and you're taking them fishing. They're having a great time. I'm assuming it's deep water fishing. I'm assuming
the stuff we were doing with them early was like all at the jetties. Black drum fishing at the jetties,
which is such a cool experience.
Oh yeah, especially for some of those guys who've never been in a boat or in the ocean.
So how did this? I guess was this a catalyst to kind of the Texas Billfish Classic?
It was, but it was very kind of grassroots the way it all happened.
Well, tell us about Texas Billfish Classic, because it is Veterans Day, and this is an event for veterans.
Correct.
So why don't you just tell us what the tournament's all about?
Yep.
Who it who is active in it, and kind of what it does. And it's I want to talk to you about how you got involved in that, because
Sure.
I think it's such a cool. I saw the website, and obviously we can link the website and the YouTube channel to this and to the Texas Billfish Classic. But it seems like a pretty cool event. So what is the Texas Billfish Classic?
Yeah, so the tournament used to be called the August Billfish Classic.
The August
Billfish Classic, back in the 70s, 80s, 90s in Freeport, and which just an hour south of Houston here. And
started when papers were for procurement. No
that's
computers.
Right. Yeah, the big books
when
with the slide rule.
When you broke down the Oilfield.
That's right. But went down there and being down there from fishing from a little kid, back in the late 80s, early 90s, I heard all these big stories and saw these old black and white photos of these huge fish coming in Bridge Harbor and all this stuff. And, I started fishing offshore probably about the time I graduated college. I started fishing more and more offshore. So,
did you fish in college? I mean, when did you find your passion for fishing?
Oh man, my first fishing trip was when I was like 8 or 9 years old. My dad went king fishing, and went like 8 to 16 miles offshore in like a 14-foot John boat, catching kingfish out of Freeport.
Yeah,
and, it's just one of those deals where you get your fingers smoked, and fishing with cigar minnows.
Part of it.
Oh yeah.
Part of it.
And I just got hooked. I mean, it was I just kept wanting to go further and further out.
Okay.
Like, let's go another 5 miles. Or oh, we need a bigger boat. Oh, we need more fuel. And let's go another 5 miles. And then, then when I started working, in my career, we started, traveling, going to Costa Rica and Guatemala and fishing around the world. Yeah. And when we sold Black Hawk, I went and fished in the Great Barrier Reef and caught a black marlin. And I started finding all these, just fun little things I could do with my passion in fishing. And then a couple years ago, there was a tournament called TBC, and they were kind of shutting it down. And I was, had a boat in the area, and I was like, man, I'm going to start a tournament back up. And the August Billfish Classic was there. And so I started it up, and it was kind of, at first, it was more of just kind of starting a tournament to have fun and compete with your friends.
Yeah, get some friends in,
yeah,
get some people
exactly.
you haven't met before. Yeah,
just I love competitive, bill fishing.
Right.
And once we did that, I think it was like that year or the next year, I was down in Costa Rica fishing the Los Sueños Signature Series tournament, and I ran into a guy down there named Pepper. And I was like, we just, one of the nicest guys in the world.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I was like, there's no way this guy's this nice. Like, they don't make people like this.
It's like, I don't trust this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
He's too nice.
You're too nice. I don't trust you. And then, anyways, long story short, we just became like best friends.
Right.
I mean, so I remember sitting at the bar with him at the hookup one night, and we were sitting there, and I said, man, what are you doing down here? We were talking, and he goes, he said, man, I'm here with this group called Freedom Alliance. And he goes, man, it's a great organization. I want to tell you about it. And I was like, dude, I want to know everything about it. And so we just kind of started talking over rum drinks, and, I started listening to this, and I was like, dude, that is awesome. I said, look, man, and I was leaving the next day. And I said, give me your information. I said, and this was like kind of right when, like, I don't know, some social media stuff started getting real popular. I said, send me a note on whatever,
Facebook.
I had a MySpace at the time.
The Facebook.
He sent me a note, and I said, look, I just started this little tournament back. I said, I don't even know where it's going. I said, but if we can do anything for you, I said, I want to turn it into something we can, do for a good cause.
For others, yeah.
And he goes, yeah, man, I'll, send you a note. And man, sure enough, man, he sent me his details. We tagged up. He got me hooked up with their group here in the States, and we started bringing guys down every year for the tournament to take them fishing. From
Freedom Alliance.
Correct.
Which is what?
Freedom Alliance is a nonprofit group that basically works with veterans and assist them on kind of reacclimating back into civilian life.
Okay.
And one of the things they've done here in the last couple of years, I've seen more of an effort on, is really addressing some of the things that really society doesn't want to talk about, which is some of the elements that you can't see. A lot of times you see these guys, they come up, they're missing a leg, they're missing an arm, or they don't have eyesight, or they have burns.
But this is more the internal
correct.
Scars.
This
the
is
PTSD.
More, that's correct.
The mental struggles.
And so we started, I started learning more about that and what they were doing, and I started, really interacting and visiting with these guys. And I was like, man, this is a lot deeper than just a fishing tournament. And
how does that not light a fire like in under your ass or in your heart? You know what I mean?
No,
like when you start doing especially when you're interacting with them, and I could assume that you'd want this tournament to be more than just a tournament.
And for the guy, so we're we all volunteer. All of us, we're not paid.
Right.
None of us take salary or anything compensation from the tournament.
Right.
We all volunteer our time. I pretty much do it full year, social media and different things, sponsors, and we got great sponsors. You got guys like Galati and Tuna Skin and Yeti and Costa and Seakeeper and all these guys. Carbach is one of our largest sponsors.
Did JP do his research before the podcast?
JP did. Carbach, and they're right down the street from us.
So we should probably do a Around the Rotary there one afternoon. But you found this. You got hooked up with Freedom Alliance, and you're still starting to put together this fishing tournament.
Yep.
And so how did it kind of come to fruition? Kind of when did it start kind of gaining traction?
I would say 2 or 3 years ago. A guy named Rich Christensen that was involved with, do you remember, it was Offshore Adventures with Chris Rich and Brett McBride, Captain Brett McBride.
Yes.
They're sponsored by Red Lobster, and they did all that stuff.
Yeah.
So he shot all the video and did all the stuff for that. And, anyways, Rich and I met through Pepper, and he goes, hey, look, I heard what you're doing with Freedom Alliance. I would love to come shoot a video for y'all. And I was like, man, that's a great idea. I was like, because this gives us the ability to, promote the tournament, but also really promote Freedom Alliance and what we're doing for them and promote their organization. Because it's not necessarily the financial money you give back. It's the awareness that you're bringing to their cause.
And if you get a high quality video or something like that people will sit down and kind of click and watch, even if it's the first 45 seconds that draws them in. I mean, that hits more than a flyer saying come support Freedom Alliance.
Exactly.
Fishing tournament. Like it's more engaging. You get a feel. You get the personal stories. I've seen y'all's videos about 19, 20 minutes long, and it's very impactful. Yeah. It's cool how what this tournament does for the veterans. I think it's really cool. But I want you to speak more to that.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of people who participate in the tournament sometimes don't even realize really what's going on in the back end.
Okay.
And because that all happens before they get there. So we take the guys fishing, 2 or 3 days before the tournament even starts.
Oh.
And so when the kickoff tournament, the kickoff party for the tournament's on Wednesday nights, that's the last night the vets are there. They're leaving Thursday. So we bring them out.
It's kind of like their own little private tournament before the outsiders can come in and start fishing. Okay.
So we kind of wrap the week up with them on Wednesdays, and then the tournament gets to see just a glimpse of what we did with them that week.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, it's really just fishing tournament. Let's go out and catch them and hang them and compete.
How's that been? How was the fishing? Did you hold the fishing tournament this year?
We did.
How was that? I guess. How was the I guess the turnout? I guess due to everything, because I know that there's been several industry events canceled. Whether it's the fishing. Whether it's the fin for feather, a lot of things have been canceled, postponed. Right. People are nervous. How was the turnout this year?
So it was definitely affected by what we're seeing with everything because of COVID, but. Scoot back here.
Scoot back, buddy.
Can you hear me a little bit? Hey. I'm going to lean back and have a conversation today.
That's what this is all about. Kick your feet up, man.
I'm going to kick it up.
I don't give a shit. Do what you want to do, baby.
Kick your feet up, just don't spill my drink, right?
You do you, man. You do you. So
we had to make a lot of arrangements due to COVID, and one of the reasons why we decided to continue having it was because really the teams, we figured out ways to eliminate and reduce touch points for all the participants and and everyone. At some point in time, you kind of have two different people. You have the guys who are just tired of it and they don't care.
Oh yeah.
And don't even look at me about wearing a mask. Yep. And then you have the people who are like, hey, look, it's real. I'm going to wear a mask and I'm going to protect me and everyone else. And I think both people have legitimate cases,
Oh yeah, I mean, so at the end of the day, it's like, I get it.
Yeah,
I get why someone would be fed up with it. I do. I'm kind of at that point right now with all. We talked about that earlier with the news and all that bullshit. You know what I mean? But I still wear a mask. I still wash my hands like I should. Since I was 3 years old, but. No, I get it.
So we had to make some changes, and the city of Freeport was great. So the city of Freeport has been behind this thing since we started it, and they're awesome. I mean, those guys have supported us, and they said, look, we need to do what's best for our community, and they said, can you give us some things that you're going to do along with our people that we can ensure that this thing, if it happens, goes on as safely as possible.
So mitigate the points of contact.
And so we moved it from a big indoor event facility at River Place in Freeport to more of an open air outdoor facility.
And this it takes place in August.
Yes.
Okay.
So usually it's like the last week of July, August. We finally kind of picked a weekend that's outside of different tournaments to kind of get away from them because there is a lot of shuffling around for some people for weather and whatever else. But so we've kind of moved just that like second weekend of August so we can just kind of focus on that date. But, we worked with the city. We worked with a local group called Hooks on the river down in Freeport to accommodate that, many people that were coming.
So what was the numbers this year?
I think we were down probably 20% or 30% from year on year.
That's not. I mean, that's bad, but it could be worse. Man.
Oh, it could be a lot worse. Yeah. But the thing was, I actually think our donations for our like Freedom Alliance went up.
Really,
people gave more during. We have a couple art auctions.
Yeah.
And different things that we do. So like Casey Scott out of Florida, Anastasia Music, Carrie Chin. A lot of these well-known, marine artists donate art for us to raise money for Freedom Alliance.
Cool.
And so they send them over. We'll hang it up, and do a little art auction, and then 100% of it goes back to Freedom Alliance.
Nice.
And so having those guys there, having different artists and people that donate stuff to raise money for this deal. It's grown every year, and for me, whether we have 5 boats or 50 boats.
Has it grown from word of mouth, or is it grown from just kind of the marketing of it, or what?
I think a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I think people fish it and they have fun. I mean, a lot of people in Texas know these older tournaments that have been around. They're kind of like, well, we always fish this, and this. And, Poco was around for almost 50 years, right?
You ever do that?
Yep, fished Poco a couple times.
Wasn't there a book about that?
There is.
Yeah, Matt Harbison, the same guy I told you about, recommended it.
Okay, yeah, I read it.
Her things got pretty crazy on the Poco. I think it's the same book.
I think anything in the late 80s and 90s in the
Oilfield
got a little crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what it was. It doesn't matter what it was.
Hit it with the money gun.
You could be
We're going to have the planes, the helicopters, the boats.
You could be a statistician, and you're going to fly to New York, going to Studio 54, whatever it's called. Yeah.
It was a party.
So anyway, so you're seeing it grow.
Seeing it grow, I think through word of mouth. I think most of the time when people fish it, typically they're coming back the next year.
Okay.
So if a first boat fishes it, they're like, man, we had a really good time, good format. It's real relaxed. It's just and what we're doing for the community and for the vets, it's fun. It's just something that it's like, hey, we're fishing and doing this anyways, but man, this is really cool. I'm glad that y'all are doing that. And we've had multiple boat owners that have fished the tournament that have reached out to me after the fact and said, hey, if there's something I can do for these guys, you let me know. And case in point, you ever heard of Woody Smokehouse?
Yeah.
So Woody owns a boat called Smoker 2.
Okay.
And he fishes the tournament, and he's down in Freeport, and he said, hey, and he's one of those guys, he don't want to make a big deal about nothing. He don't want his name on stuff.
Right.
He's just like real under the table, kind of like, hey man, I want to help, but don't make it a big deal.
Right.
So he actually had a bunch of them come out to his ranch, and they filled up every cooler they had.
Really?
Yeah, the guys were like, yeah, what can we shoot? He's like, you see something, pull the trigger. He goes, turkeys, cold buck, deer.
This just came from him getting involved at the That's
tournament. Right. He said, man, I love this. And this year we cooked OSP, we always, cook jambalaya for rigs and stuff like that. And we cooked for the vets this year. And he came down and spent some time with us, along with like Nick Harden. Those guys, they own Worldwide Electric out of Dallas.
Okay.
And they have a boat called Easy Rider.
Yeah.
But, he took their whole group to dinner this year while he was down in Freeport. He just said, man, I want to treat these guys. And they actually invited one of them to go fishing with him during the tournament.
So are these veterans? Are they from Texas, or are they just coming kind of whoever loves fishing? They come on in.
This year they were all from Texas.
Okay.
For the point that they didn't want a lot of traveling with the COVID restrictions. Yeah. But usually we get guys from all over the U.S. and they're just guys that are involved in Freedom Alliance, and we reach out to their group and they pull together 4 to 6 people every year that want to come down.
Okay.
And but I think that's one reason it's growing. Every year we get a different group of guys from Freedom Alliance.
Right.
And every year there's more people fishing the tournament that get, a first kind of entrance to, introduction to Freedom Alliance and what we're really doing on the back end of this.
So how long have you been the tournament director of Texas Billfish Classic?
So this going on, our first year was 2014.
Okay.
And that was the August Billfish Classic. Then we transferred it to Texas Billfish Classic starting 15. So really, it's kind of our 7th year coming up.
Yeah. So I mean, is it a tough thing to organize? What resources would help y'all out? I guess when planning and organizing or something like that.
It's I think the toughest part is dealing with so many people and different personalities. Whatever you do.
That's sales, baby.
It is, but I mean, at some point.
That's Oilfield right there.
Yeah, it's, unfortunately, there's, it's not like money in for it. It's like, you're working for something else that, you're not getting compensated for.
Right.
So it's kind of like, it's a labor of love is what it is. I mean, you deal with a lot of BS on the fishing side, and every year is something, right?
Oh yeah.
Whether it be a fish that's questionable, or someone ain't happy with the shirt, or I didn't get a bucket, or too many koozies, or
I trust me,
hole in my sock, 3-legged dog, whatever, right? It's like
if there's something, people will pick at it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, that week of the tournament is really hectic, and most people who know me just like, I'm not even calling you. Like, I already know you're about to pull your hair out, so forget it. I'll talk to you next week, when you're smiling again. But, it is hectic. I got some great people that volunteer with the group, Jasen and Kyra and Kent and Tim and all the people that do our weigh-in and our registration. And it really does take a group to put it on.
So can anyone get involved in that?
Absolutely. I mean, you want to volunteer and be a part of it? Absolutely. We are always looking for sponsors because the more we can bring in, the more we do.
Right.
Tuna Skin, we brought them in. We actually met them through Freedom Alliance, and they cut us a great deal on all of our apparel and take care of us on that end. And we try and give Yeti. We give Yeti is big into sponsoring us every year. They don't even ask. It's like, what can we do to help?
That's awesome.
They love being part of it.
I'm sure that makes it easier too, because number one, it's a tournament and you're getting all this corporate support, but it's also for just a great cause, man.
And some of those guys don't even know what we really do. They're just they're like, hey man, Texas tournament, we're from Texas. We want to support conservation and the outdoors and fishing, and that's how we met a lot of these sponsors originally. And they're like, hold on, you also do this? And so it was kind of like, you start getting a lot more interest when it's not just fishing. Yeah. It's about this other stuff. But, we're always looking for, sponsors monetarily, but we're also looking for sponsors for, different things and different, like Earth Color here in town. I think they changed their name. They got bought out, but they do a lot of our printing for us.
Okay.
And so that's a cost that we don't have to incur because they do a lot of our printing every year. Coastline Trailers, they're, Marty and those guys, they always do a lot. Galati's here in town. They're a boat brokerage, and, they see what we're doing. They love being a part of it. But they also, that's their community, the boating community.
But this isn't just Oilfield specific.
No, this is like this is just random industry.
Well, I guarantee you get that word out there. You get a bunch of Oilfield hands out there.
I would love more Oilfield just because that's my family.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
Oilfield family. But one thing about fishing is I think that's the reason why I love to fish so much is it gives me the ability to get away from work.
Yeah.
And, one thing is after about 8 or 9 miles, that phone goes off. Man, it's like that's the happiest you can ever be.
Just unplugging.
It's no one's going to call, no one's going to text. And it's, you got 1, 2, 3 days of just pure uninterrupted
You're not dealing with emails or any text message or any bullshit like that.
That's it, man. You're just focused on, how much fun you can have.
I dig that,
man.
And,
watch the sunrise and set on the ocean and just enjoying God's creation. It doesn't get any better than that.
Well, I dig that. And honestly, I think once we launch this, I would love it if you kind of come in over. We can link the Texas Billfish Classic and have just people take a look at it and see if they want to get involved, if they want to get a team together to go fishing, or if they want to sponsor or do something like that, because that'd be great to see it grow, because y'all doing such a killer job at it, man. And the video was cool.
It's a ton of fun, man. I'm telling you,
the video was. I mean, it looked crazy. It looked like a good time.
It's one of those things, like, and even the guys that volunteer, they, I ask them every year, like, what is it about this tournament, that keeps you wanting to come back and be a part of this? Right. And every one of them says the stuff we're doing with Freedom Alliance.
So Oilfield dries up, you can be a fishing guide. What would you do if the Oilfield dries up? Oilfield's gone tomorrow. What's Jasen do?
Oh, man. Oilfield's gone tomorrow.
It would be something to do with fishing, I'll bet.
Well, I think I'm going to have a long conversation with my bank because they're going to want to be compensated for all the money that we owe them.
We're not talking about the details. This is an imaginary question. We're not talking about the...
You mean real? You mean like a hypothetical?
Hypothetical bullshit question.
That's a tough question.
Money's not an option. You're going to be comfortable whatever you do.
Oh man, money's not an option. I think I would travel a lot more. I would travel and I would fish. I love traveling. I miss it. I used to do a lot of traveling in my previous job and company, and I really enjoyed seeing different cultures and working with different people of ethnicities and religions.
Oh, yeah.
It was just, man, I tell you, that was one of the best things of, waking up and being at a Marriott and, in Copacabana Beach and hearing all the Portuguese and watching, the China markets open. And,
it's different, the smells. Even the way the traffic works. I mean, everything, it's different.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Dubai, Singapore, KL, Bangkok, Perth, Oslo, Lagos. It's
You've been to a lot of places.
38 countries in the last 4 years.
Good amount. What's your best fishing spot you've ever been to?
I love fishing our backyard, Gulf of Mexico.
Okay.
I mean, it's a little tougher, longer runs. It's more of a grind, but there's nothing better than fishing in your backyard on your own boat with your friends.
So would be your bucket list place to fish?
My bucket list.
Yeah.
If that's a good question. I would say if I had money and
we have good questions here, man.
Yeah, this is a good question and I have a good answer for you, and you may have to look this one up, but I'm going straight to Ascension Island.
Wait, what?
Ascension Island. So it's
keep talking about it.
It's in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean between Africa and Brazil. And I believe you can only get there through a military charter flight. I think it's like once a month or something like that.
Well, apparently it's got 3 out of 5 stars on Google, so I'm not sure I'd go there.
Well, I think the stars are reflecting how difficult it is to get there, and I don't think
first
you can
off,
actually
I'm
get
zooming. I'm zooming. I never even knew this land was here.
Most people don't, but
dude, that is literally in the middle of the ocean between Africa and South America.
No. So if it all dried up tomorrow and Jason had a pile of cash, I would want to go to Ascension Island and fish until I caught a blue marlin that was over 1,000 pounds.
That'd be it?
It could be a day, it could be a year, I don't know, but that would be my goal.
I'm trying to understand who would actually review an island right now. Like, who would give an island like 1
3 star?
Yeah, like what assholes out there giving an island literally in the middle of the Atlantic a review?
There's at least 3 of them.
Tony Allen about a month ago said they don't have a Sainsbury's there. So that's a 1-star review for this for Ascension Island.
Sainsbury's, huh?
Yeah. Apparently the volcano gets too hot. That's a 2-star review.
Well, you got to keep your volcano temperature down to a
what's the ideal volcano temperature for you?
A couple thousand degrees is kind of my happy spot.
Oh, people are actually reviewing because they're getting phone calls from Stop Calling Me.
I mean, we're going down a dark hole in the web here. We could be here for hours.
Someone says cold. So these are
Ascension might have like a Tinder profile too. I don't know.
I kind of feel like if you're reviewing an island, literally like this island is probably most like, hey man, I'm like I'm minding my own business here. You know what I mean? Like I want to be left alone from everyone. If you're gonna go on and review it 1 star because there's no Sainsbury's, I mean that's difficult. Anyway, that's a great bucket list. How do you get there?
Military flight.
Really?
Yeah, it's very difficult. Or a mothership and a boat because it's a long way over.
I don't even know that. Okay, that's a cool spot.
But I've had a friend that has went out there and fished it on his boat and
it's just like the best
caught a
fish.
grander, and he's kind of one of my I don't know guy I look up to. Oilfield guy, has done very well. Very passionate. He's very driven, and he's a big game hunter and blue marlin fisherman. Right. And his passion to catch big blue marlin is one that I outside of him, I have not met someone else that has been that ate up with it. And so him and I just have that bond, and I think that's where, that's my answer. Okay. Ascension Island. That's where I'm going.
That's where you're going.
That's where I'm going tomorrow.
Hypothetically. Of course it's hypothetically. I love that you won't have to go call the bank, then I have to go home, tell my
shut everything down.
It's hypothetical.
Yeah. Cut the sleeves off my OSP shirts because I'm going to need some cooler gear.
And if you go there, I want to see what you review it. I want to see the Google reviews.
I'm going 5 stars, man.
Just screw it, do it.
Yeah, I mean, you're out in the middle of the ocean, you deserve 5 stars.
Yeah.
If you can survive in the middle of nowhere,
and your phone doesn't work, that's a review right there. No inbound calls, no outbound calls, no text. That's a review right there.
I'm gonna do 5+.
There you go.
A little asterisk next to my star.
Well, buddy, I appreciate Jason. I think we're kind of coming up on time. I appreciate you coming in. Thank you for again, everyone. This is Let me pull it up. We have Jasen Gast, the president. I want to make sure I got your title right. The president, CEO of Oilfield Service Professionals. Thank you so much for talking about your company and kind of what OSP does today, even though we didn't address it at all. And also the
We're talking about important stuff, man. Freedom Alliance, Texas Billfish class. It's been fun. Trust me.
Well, I mean, that's your drive. That's your passion. So
Absolutely.
I think it's cooler to talk about someone's passion over. Well, this is the challenges we're facing as you can't see customer. I mean, it's
all the same. We've heard it.
We know that.
We've heard it for 7 months.
We live it.
Yeah,
we live it. But again, Jasen Gast, the tournament director of the Texas Billfish Classic. I highly encourage everyone out there, if you're an angler, if you're a salt life. I invite you to kind of reach out to either Jasen or myself, and I can put you in touch with him, or check out their YouTube or website. Again, just got to Google Texas Billfish Classic and give it a look, and hope maybe participate in it too if you have that hunger to fish and to give back to and say thank you to veterans out there.
And happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day.
Awesome day to be here on that. I mean, we thank our vets for all their service and their families.
Absolutely.
Because it goes both ways, man. I mean, everyone sacrifices when you
There's sacrifice when their spouse is going.
Absolutely.
Their mom or dad are going away.
And the kids, man. I mean, kids and moms, dads here watching their sons and daughters go away and fight for their country and their freedom. So, this has been a great day, to be here on Veterans Day and to talk about Freedom Alliance and the tournament. And, as far as work goes, we're going to fight and live to see another day.
We're going to be okay.
We're going to keep hustling, man.
Well, hopefully, in 2021, it's bigger, better, more improved, and the participation is there and all that. So hopefully the word gets out. You get some activity, more activity.
Absolutely.
That way, so we bring it back.
More awareness.
All right, buddy. Well, Jasen, thanks for coming in, buddy. We'll
Absolutely.
talk to you soon.
Thanks for the drink and thanks for the time.
Absolutely, buddy.
Cheers.